Hi everyone, it's your boy Ruck Travels. Welcome back to the channel. This week's video is something a little bit different. We always tend to talk about all the positives, all the scary stories, all the kind of weird, exciting things. But truth be told, there's a lot of things about travelling that aren't that interesting, but are equally just as essential. What I mean by this is, how do you pack? What do you bring? How do you carry stuff? Nitty gritty details like this can be a make or break. I've seen disasters happen to do with luggage and packing, and I've also got myself out of a lot of tight spots due to what I brought along with me. So I'm going to give a quick summary of everything I bring, why I bring it, pros and cons, how to get hold of it, and how much it set me back financially. I'm talking luggage, clothing, tech, nooks and crannies, medical supplies, paperwork, you name it, we're going to cover it. Before I start, if I could ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bells if you want to be notified about future videos. So the first thing I'm going to start with is luggage, for obvious reasons. I think a lot of people, when they go away, typically bring a suitcase or something. Backpacking is a bit of a different ball game, and quite literally you need a fat backpack to get around as you're moving all the time, and you need to bring a lot of stuff probably because you're going for a long enough time to justify it. And where you're going for such a long time, you do need to bring a wider selection of things as opposed to just some holidays where it's swim shorts, sliders and sun cream. If you're going backpacking, you need a whole selection of things. So that's why we're going to talk about these bad boys right here. So this is my main backpack bag. Disclaimer, it's absolutely battered because I've taken it to Asia, South America and India and a couple other places as well. So as you can see, it's a bit worn and torn. It's got a few rips in it, some my fault, some not. It's from Mountain Warehouse and it was about £90. When it's on, it looks like this and I look pretty ridiculous, but it does do the job for the reasons I'm about to tell you. So the main pros of this bag, at least for me, the first thing is the size. It is absolutely massive and it has so many different compartments. So me, I'm a very heavy packer. I bring t-shirts for like 2 a day. I bring all sorts of things from medical supplies to toilet roll, you name it, I bring it. So it's got all these different compartments and it's massive. So hopefully you won't overdo it on the luggage allowance with the airline, but ultimately you're gonna have enough space to bring whatever you want. And I mentioned the secret compartments. You can see it's got a couple zip pockets on the side here, on each side. It's got a zip in the top, which is pretty spacious and useful, that I've utilised on a number of occasions as well. And it's fairly secure. It's got buckles from top to bottom, although they're not that hard to get into. They do serve a purpose and keep things locked together instead of spilling everywhere. On the inside, there's another zip on the hood here as well, which you can probably just about see. And something else I really like about it as well, this has like adjustable back sizes. I didn't really know you could size backs, but it basically adjusts to how high you want to have it on your back. So me, for example, it looks something like this. I think that's probably better for your posture if it's a bit higher because it will pull your shoulders back, but I have no idea about osteopathy or back, so you might have to do your own research there. That's just my opinion, feels more comfortable at least. On the inside, you probably can't see it that well. I'll just show you the hole there. There's basically a drawstring section, so if you've got anything that's like quite vulnerable or valuable and small, or even if it's a little bit bigger, you could put it in there and secure it. Obviously, we do have worries about protecting our stuff in a luggage bag, whether we go on flights, leave it in hostels, so on and so forth. So it's nice to think that you've got little areas in there to utilise as well. Another weird thing is it's red and it's fairly recognisable. I think we see a lot of backpacks that is just completely black. It's kind of boring and not that easy to identify. So if I've just got off a 12-hour flight and I've got to wait half an hour to work out which black bag is mine, then this definitely defeats that problem. So it's red, noticeable, and you could just put like a strap on it or some badges or stickers or something, but this works for me. It will need to be replaced for my next trip because, as I said, it has got holes, rips, and doesn't smell fantastic, so we'll definitely look to replace that in the coming months. The only drawbacks I'd say with it are, as much as I said size was a benefit, it is also a bit of a con as well, in the sense that you could definitely get away with something smaller and cheaper. I'm just a heavy packer. I like to bring as much as possible. I'd rather bring too much than too little. So I know that I can definitely bring as much as I need and accumulate things along the way. I do tend to collect crappy souvenirs, so the extra space can definitely help you deal with that. I think the important thing to note as well, this was £90, so it's probably on the higher end of expensive bags in terms of like your typical retail shops, Mountain Warehouse, even like places like Amazon do them as well. But if you want to go to like a specialist shop that sort of know their stuff, I'd probably recommend that. They are often on sale. This was 90 down from like 150, I think, so you could probably find even better elsewhere, if not in those sort of shops. But like I say, this is an 80-litre bag. I don't know how they work out what a litre is, but this is 80 litres, basically massive. But you could definitely get away with something smaller from a brand like Osprey or something like that. So definitely have a little shop around if you're not too sure what to go for. But like I say, I'm a heavy packer, so I bring the biggest bag I could find. So this is my day bag. This is from Mountain Warehouse again. I think the branding on it says DLX, but overall it's just Mountain Warehouse, so don't take too much notice of that. Again, same sort of story with the main bag. It's big enough to carry as much as I need. It's got loads of compartments. It's got zips, it's got little hidden areas for different things that I bring day to day. When it's on, it typically looks like this, so I can barely see where I'm going, but at least I can carry this on the front and the big one on the back. Main features or pros with this bag, it's got a water tube. I've never actually used that in my life, but if you were carrying water and you're walking a long distance, that could be useful. On the topic of water, you've got 2 slots here for water bottles or water related things. You've got a zip. This bag is also broken and needs replacing, by the way. The inside has like a laptop sleeve, so not that I actually brought a laptop before travelling, but next time around I will, for obvious reasons, so I can show you guys what I'm doing along the way. But until now, it's been used as like a medical folder holder, so that's been quite useful. And again, you've got more zips and netting here, so if you've got things you need to find that are hard to see at the bottom, keep it in the zip so it's easy to find. So the other benefit with this is I'm pretty sure it's waterproof, I'm not certain, but it survives in wet conditions. Sometimes you're in a country and the weather just wakes up, chooses violence, and you're soaking wet. So if you've got things that are valuable, i.e. laptop, passport, paperwork that are important, then it will be protected in this, which is very useful. I've definitely saved myself a lot of problems by keeping it dry and safe. So it does sound a bit dramatic that you could be in a sunny climate and all of a sudden it rains and gets all your stuff wet, but honestly, I've been in situations where I've been in outfits like this. If anyone sees me walking down my clothes, I will look like an absolute nut job. But honestly, you could be in situations like this and within a blink of an eye, you need to be in an outfit like this. So quite a dramatic change. You got to remember a lot of the places that you're probably going to backpack, the Asias, the Americas of the world, you're in the tropics, the weather can literally change in the blink of an eye. So you do find yourself trying to find some shade for the sun and then trying to find some protections from the rain. So this is your alternative, you could say. So that begs the question, A, what clothes do I bring? And B, how do I bring them? As much as backpacking isn't always glorious and glamorous, it is nice to bring clothes that you feel comfortable in and you can look as good as you can while you're on the road. So how I carry clothes and how I separate them, the idea of packing and organising things and being really clean is not a strength of mine. I'm pretty terrible at anything like that, so the likes of my mum has to help me pack sometimes just because it stresses me out massively. But the answer to my problems is Amazon. So these little packing cubes have been fantastic. I separate them into like pants, socks, shorts, t-shirts, you name it. Basically divide them. They're all in different sizes. So depending on what sort of clothes you have, this could be like your sock pouch. And then you've got the likes of these massive ones for like your t-shirts, your hoodies, all the sort of big juicy stuff. Now next question, what do I bring? It really does vary and depend on what you like to dress in, how you like to dress, what your style is, where you're going, what the weather's going to be like, so on and so forth. So this is what I'd typically bring on a relatively long trip in relatively good weather, with the possibility of some horrible English weather along the way. So one thing to know is that laundry is very accessible, very cheap and very much worth your time and does definitely save you a lot of time as well. The amount of times I've been on the road and I've been down to like my last pair of pants or my last t-shirt and I'm at a hostel and everything is absolutely dirty, like let's face it, it's not always perfect. Honestly, I've cleaned all my clothes at once for about 5 at a time, so it's so worth it. So on the topic of what I bring, I typically tend to bring 5 to 10 t-shirts, one for every day of the week, with a couple of alternatives, a couple of smarter ones. Then I bring 2 or 3 vests. So if you've watched enough of my content, you'll know that I don't tend to find myself in the most luxurious circumstances. However, it is important to bring a couple of smarter options just in case you find yourself in an establishment which is a little bit above what you're used to. By that, I mean the odd long sleeve shirt or something like that, a pair of jeans, chinos or trousers or smart shorts at least, and then a pair of like relatively decent shoes. Most clubs or bars don't really have a dress code, but you've got to respect that in different cities they have different dress codes. So as you just saw, my swim short collection is pretty outlandish and wild. I tend to bring 5, 6 or even 7 of those, one for every day of the week once again, purely because I tend to be in them every day. You know, if you're on the islands or in a hot place, swim shorts are just so accessible. I think the only problem with them is the pockets aren't that great, so if you've got your phone in it, you've got to constantly worry about it falling out. I did actually have a phone fall out of my pocket on a moped, and then my friend Ellie was behind me and then ran that over, so that phone was done and dusted. But generally speaking, swim shorts, shorts, that sort of stuff, the way to go. Denim shorts, chino shorts, just general like leisure gym sort of shorts as well, definitely useful as well. So if you've seen any of my stories, you'll probably know that I lose all sorts of things while travelling, whether it's swim shorts, paperwork, my dignity, things go missing and I can't really explain them. So underwear, socks, sliders, I bring about 3 pairs of sliders, 10 pairs of socks, maybe even 15 these days because my socks go missing even at home, let alone while travelling. And pants, they go missing, can't explain it, just seems to happen. I did mention the weather, so definitely worth considering the likes of a hoodie, whether that's zip up or just a pullover hoodie, and a lightweight rain jacket that's waterproof. I've definitely been in positions where the rain has just absolutely ruined my day and I've been soaking wet, sat there in a vest. So if you've got a coat that's lightweight and you can wrap into your bag, definitely do that. So these days we are ever so dependent on technology and it wouldn't be very wise to go away without any. So obviously the likes of your phone charger, earphones. I actually bring a spare phone when I go, just because if I'm in somewhere that I think is a little bit sketchy or unsafe, then if you go out with an old phone that you don't care about and it does go missing, then it's much better than losing your brand new phone, which could have really hurt your bank account. So where I'm looking to pursue YouTube long term whilst travelling, what I bring technologically speaking will definitely be different. So I'll be looking at bringing a laptop, a camera, a tripod, different bits and bobs of equipment like a microphone and such. Maybe not necessarily big things, but things that will add weight and value to what you're bringing. So definitely look at perhaps either insuring them or protecting them. So phone cases, laptop cases, even just technology kits you can buy, like GoPro cases and stuff like that. So that's definitely worth thinking about as well. So the last thing I want to talk about in terms of what to bring with you along the way for a long backpacking trip or any sort of travelling are just general nooks and crannies, bits and pieces that might help you out. So something people don't really ever consider when they go away, at least not on normal holidays, is a first aid kit. So I'm not a medical professional, but I know that my medical history is pretty patchy and things do tend to happen to me. If you look at my previous videos, some scary travel stories, you'll get clued up. So fill yourself in with that if you're not too sure what I'm on about. And where we have adjusted to life in the global pandemic, we have realised that health and safety has come to the forefront of everyone's mind. So the likes of masks, hand sanitizers would be a big part of that first aid kit. But even general things, bandages, plasters, scissors, wipes, antiseptic creams, Imodium if you're in a situation where your stomach might be a bit wobbly for a flight, insect repellent if you're in the jungle sort of environment or a place where mosquitoes are in close proximity. Things water related, so not only just water, but hydration sachets, water purifiers. If I'd had water purifiers in Peru, I definitely wouldn't have ended up in hospital, but here we are. Definitely lesson learnt there. So that's your medicals. In terms of paperwork, I've got a passport holder that's identifiable as mine, which I could put plane tickets or boarding passes in there if I can't have them electronically. I then keep this absolutely wedge folder to do with like paperwork, tickets, that sort of stuff. It's currently being used as like a souvenir holder of mementos from along the way. So I've got a shuttlecock bell from Vietnam, I think, a plane ticket from Poland to London, which I actually nearly missed that flight. But going forward when I go away, this will all be left at home and then I'll just keep tickets, insurance paperwork, emergency contact info, all in here, put it in an easy to access pocket in my day bag, and if anything terrible or unfortunate happens to me, I can get myself out of a sticky situation. I remember a time in Cambodia where I lost a ticket on a boat and I think I actually dropped it into the sea without realising, and it took about an hour to conversate with the Cambodians to let me get another ticket. So just learn from my mistakes. That's the point of this channel. Don't go somewhere and make yourself look like a melon. The final thing is I've been in a lot of situations, whether that's like a weekend away or just staying at someone's house or something, and you forget to have a towel. So you get in the shower, get out, soaking wet, no idea what to do. shambles. That is what this is for. This is a microfiber towel, which you can find on the likes of Amazon for like a tenner. The benefit of it is it's self-drying. It does stay a little bit damp, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's absolutely crucial, but if the place you're staying at doesn't have normal towels, this is definitely useful and won't get all your stuff wet when you put it back in the bag. However, going forward, what I'd be tempted to do is leave this at home and then just buy a new towel every week or so and then get it washed. If you can get a towel at a market for like £1 or $1, then it's probably worth it. And the amount of times I've like gone to like dry my back and this has like scratched me, that's hurt a lot. So probably won't use that too much, but could be useful going forward. So I guess the final thing under nooks and crannies is something that isn't necessarily essential, but unless you want to stink, it probably makes a lot of sense to have. So I'm talking wash bags, toiletries, sanitary products, only because a lot of the places you'll go to, the standard of hygiene won't quite meet the criteria that it would have to meet back home. So you've watched Poo Knives and Alcohol, my video from a couple of weeks ago. Need I say more than bring toilet paper, bring it in abundance. You never know what situations you'll be in. I've been locked in toilets on my own. I've had upset stomachs in the middle of nowhere. Just do it. It's not pleasant to bring toilet paper, but you'd much rather have it than not have it when you need it, so definitely do that. Wash bags, you know, whether that's razors, deodorant, aftershave / perfume, your skincare routine, whether that's, you know, moisturisers, sun cream, exfoliators, that sort of stuff's important to me. I know that when it's really hot, you can feel a bit like sweaty and horrible, so if you've got that sort of stuff, definitely useful. And in the same breath, when it's cold, my skin gets a bit dry, so if you've got a moisturiser, or I think there's something from Kiehl's, which is a little bit more pricey, but it's like a moisturiser / sun cream, so something like that could be worth the investment, even if it is above the market price. I admit I have whizzed through this relatively quickly. I wanted to keep this quite short and concise, just so you can see a breakdown and see it's not that overwhelming, but you do need to plan ahead and think about what you want to bring for a long-term or extreme travel trip. By all means, everyone's different. I'm a 24-year-old man, so not everyone is my age or in my situation in terms of what they want to bring traveling. This is just my opinion and what I'd recommend going forward. But generally speaking, I think I've covered everything. If there is something that you think is quite important or that you might bring yourself that I haven't mentioned, feel free to leave it in the comments along with any sort of feedback. As I mentioned earlier, a like on the video would mean the world to me. If you can subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, that also helps me out a great deal, so I do appreciate all of that love so far and going forward. And beyond YouTube, you know the place to find me on Instagram, which is Ruck_travels. That's all from me this week. I really do appreciate you watching. Next week's video, I'm thinking to do about budgeting and financing for and whilst traveling for a long trip, how to save money, etc. But until then, stay safe and I'll see you in the next one.